2 victories and a defeat over the European midweek action. I guess overall it was a win for Scotland. And as a Hearts fan, like they say in Call of Duty, we'll get them next time. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Football here for your European review show, which basically means over the next 15 minutes I'll talk a load of shite about the fixtures that happened regarding Scottish teams in the Europa Conference League and also the Champions League qualifiers. But before we do that, had a couple of people talk about coefficients. Some people don't really exactly know how they work, so we're going to have a brief look at the coefficients and I will give a very brief explanation. So currently in the UEFA coefficients we are ranked 9th, so we're the 9th best country in Europe. We currently have 30.250 country coefficient points. And so far this season, we have accumulated 0.600 coefficient points. Now, this season, we will lose 6.750. So basically, it's kind of working on a 5-year period. And at the end of the year, your 5th last season will drop off. So 5 seasons ago, we got 6.750. And at the end of this season, we will lose that. So ideally, what you want is you want to gain more coefficient points this season than what we did 5 years ago. So our coefficient points overall will go up rather than go down. Because at the moment, let's say we lost every other game or whatnot. Let's say we didn't add to this 0.600. We would lose over 6,000 coefficient points. And that would be massive because if you look at the table, on the left-hand side here, we're 9th. If we lost 6,000, we would be around 15th, 16th. And that means you're dropping down to just one team in the Champions League. And even at that one team would need to play 4 qualifying rounds. So you're really up against it. You're really in the shit. We've worked hard to get ourselves into the top 10 in the coefficients, and we need to stay there. So here we can see the current club coefficient points for this season. The 5 teams that are representing: Hibernian, Rangers, Celtic, Aberdeen and Hearts. Right, if we look at it realistically, this is the 5 biggest clubs in Scotland, so we should be doing well. This is the 5 best clubs we have in our country. These 5 teams should be accumulating a decent amount of points. Now, when each team wins a game, they accumulate points not only for their country, but also for themselves. Now, what is the difference between club coefficient points and country coefficient points? Well, country coefficient points determines how high we as a nation are ranked in the UEFA coefficients, and the club coefficient points basically does the same, but for the clubs. So therefore, if you've got more coefficient points as a club, you're more likely to be seeded in the qualifying round. So if you don't have a lot of coefficient points, when you get to like the 3rd qualifying round, when you get to the playoffs, you're not going to be a seeded team. If you get into the group stages of the Champions League, if you've got a low amount of coefficients, then you're probably going to be a pot 4 sides. So that is how it works. It helps you. It benefits you not only to win points for your country, but also to win points for yourself. And when you look at Hearts, Aberdeen and Hibs, if they make it into the group stages because of the low coefficient score, they're more than likely all going to be pot 4. Now, same could be said for Rangers and Celtic. Now, Rangers, I think I've got a decent chance of being pot 3, but it depends on who qualifies. At the moment, Celtic would be destined, I believe, to be in pot 4. Their coefficient just isn't that good. But Rangers, I think, if they make it to the Champions League or the Europa League, if they make it to the Europa League, then they should definitely not be pot 4, because there is lesser teams in the Europa League. If Rangers get to Europa League, they'll probably be pot 2. But if they get to the Champions League, I think they might be pot 3. At the moment, that is how it is kind of going. We can see here, this is the season's deployments for next year. And I don't think a lot has changed. So it looks like we're predicted to finish 9. So we should get the same stuff. But of course, if we don't keep up the coefficient, then it will drop down for the next year. And if you look here at the previous seasons, like I said, we've got the 5 last seasons and they all add up. And that's what gets us our points, whatever we're on. Like we're on like what, 30,000 points. So we are at the end of the year going to lose the 2018 to 2019 season, where we got 6.750. But if you look at that, worryingly, the next couple of seasons we are losing a lot. 2019-20 we're losing 9.75. 2020-2021 we're losing 8.5. 2021-2022, we are losing 7.9. And you might be thinking, why? Because Rangers did so well. They got to the Europa League final that year. And they did do that. However, Celtic were pretty poor that season. And if you think back to the previous 2 seasons, Rangers and Celtic were both doing well in Europe. They were both doing well in the group stages and they were winning quite a few games back when like Stephen G was the manager. So, yeah, no, overall, Rangers did have a great year in 2021-2022, but the other sides let them down. I believe in 2020-2021 and the other season in the qualification process, other clubs from Scotland were doing slightly better as well. Then we all know what happened last year, just a total embarrassment there, 3.5. And the worst thing about this 3.5 is it's going to take 5 years until we get rid of it. So this season is going to drag Scotland down for the next 5 years. Unfortunately, it is what it is. The way we're currently going in Europe, are we going to keep this coefficient tally up? I don't know, because no, probably not, because you look at these points here, it's going to be hard for us to match them over the next couple of seasons. But tonight was a pretty good night, minus, well, I'll say the last 24 hours was a pretty good night, minus, that Hearts result. But here is the last 5 seasons, and it shows you who's got the coefficient points from our country. So Rangers leading the way with 68.5, Celtic with 40, then Aberdeen with 10, and everyone else is pretty much pathetic. So realistically, we should be thanking Rangers. When you look at this, we should be saying thank you, Rangers, very much. Celtic have got guaranteed Champions League football for winning the league, but they owe that to Rangers. Not only did Rangers let them win the Scottish Premiership, but they also gained enough coefficient points to allow Celtic to go in to Champions League group stages automatically. So this is why you should support Scottish teams in Europe, for the good of the country, for the good of your own club. You don't understand, the better Scottish clubs do, it will affect your team, unless your team's crap and never going to make it into Europe, but still, you should be wanting the other teams to do well. So we've gave a quick little coefficient history update there, whatever. Let's talk about the games over the past 24 hours. So we will start with Rangers, why not? The Champions League, the big boys competition. It was Rangers 2, Servette 1. Tavernier opened the scoring 6 minutes in with a penalty. Penalty to Rangers! It's those 3 words that everybody knows, and if you're a Rangers fan, you probably love those 3 words. If you're not a Rangers fan, then you probably despise those 3 words. But either way, those 3 words were said in the Rangers game, and it was a dumb penalty to give away, but it was a penalty, 100%. I mean, Cantwell got himself in between the defender and the ball, and he went down to ground. Did he go down a little bit soft? Yes, but I mean, look at Todd Cantwell. It's obvious that he's a soft kind of guy. But he goes down, Tavernier scores, it is what it is, Rangers take the lead. Then Dessos gets his first goal for the club, 2-0, 15 minutes in, you're thinking, wow, Rangers can really end this tie right here, right now. But they couldn't, because it turns out Lammers is shite, missed a really good opportunity, and then Servette got a penalty of their own, 44 minutes in. Just for half time, boom, 2-1, right back in the tie. They got a man sent off late. Well, I'll say late, it was about half an hour to go. Referee, I believe, added on an extra 10 minutes towards the end. So Rangers had 40 minutes, albeit the ball wasn't in the pitch for the whole 40 minutes, but they had 40 minutes since the man got sent off to try and add to their lead, and they couldn't do it. And they're in a little bit of a sticky situation. I think Rangers should go through. I expect Rangers to go through, but I wouldn't guarantee it. I think it's going to be a tricky tie in Servette, and I wouldn't be surprised if Rangers have to come through extra time, possibly even penalties. But there was a couple of people missing in the Rangers game at Ibrox. I don't know them personally, but there was a few empty seats around the arena. I thought that would have been sold out last night, but it turns out it was not. And speaking of Rangers, their potential opponents in the next round are either going to be PSV Eindhoven or Sturm Graz, and with a 4-1 victory, I think it's fair to say it's definitely going to be PSV Eindhoven. At the moment, the way Rangers are playing, I only see there being one winner there. I know Rangers beat them last year, but I thought Rangers last year looked better at the start of the season than they do this year, and I think PSV have got better since that period as well. So PSV Rangers, if we do get the rematch, I think PSV will be favourites for it. Let's talk about tonight though, the Europa Conference League, and we will always start off with, before we actually talk about the Scottish teams, let's let's give a wee shout out here to Derry City there. So they're like the last team from Ireland, Northern Ireland or Wales competing, and they lost in Kazakhstan by 1-0. Is it a disaster? No, because they can still turn that around. It was only 1-0, but I do expect Derry City to come out of this tie with a victory. I think they should be getting into the next round, if we're being honest. I mean, they really should. But they lost tonight in Kazakhstan. 8,000 people, though. 8,400 people showed up, so it's not a bad number. We'll see how many show up in Dublin next week, but I think Derry City really should be, they really should be coming back and winning that tie, but we'll see. We'll see. Moving on though, let's get this shite over and done with. Rosenborg 2, Hearts 1. Benny Benenjami, horrible half of football. We can say that he was injured, we can say that he wasn't ready, or this or that, or we can make excuses, blame Naismith or McAvoy or whatever idiot is picking the team. He was poor tonight. He was very poor. In fact, it was a horrible performance, and I never want to see him play like that again. It was abysmal. It was fucking embarrassing. Rosenborg had a 16-year-old playing in midfield, and he ran the fucking show. Now, I can't remember his name, but I would sign him. Tell you what, if you're playing Football Manager, I would check him out, because he looks like he's going to be a top dog in the future. No doubt about it. He made Hearts look like an amateur team. Fuck me, I sound like an amateur. He made Hearts look like an amateur team in that first half. But thankfully, we've got a man that can score goals. His name is none other than Lawrence Shankland, and that's what he done in the second half. He scored a goal. He got us back in the tie. Now, we couldn't get the equaliser, but hopefully we can do that next week at Tynecastle when we take on Rosenborg. I'm confident. I am confident. I know it's not ideal. You never want to be trailing in the tie. But I tell you what, I still think we will go through. I'm going to say it here now. Hearts win next week. I'm not going to give a scoreline, but I'm going to say that we win. And I'm going to say that we do go through and we beat Rosenborg and we send them back to Norway. And last but not least, let's talk about Hibs. The team that is known for Hibs in it. The team that is known for fucking up anything remotely good in their club's career, in their club's history. Anytime they get a sniff of something decent, they piss it up against the wall. But they didn't do that tonight. They defeated Lucerne by 3-1. And it was a good victory. It was a good performance. I watched the game, very impressed. Newell's finish for the first goal was fantastic. The defending for Lucerne's goal was pish, but you know, I guess no one's perfect. Fenty then powered home a header with about 18 minutes to go after Lafondre done some sort of crazy mad touches and then flicked the ball over everybody's head into the 6-yard box. And then Obita took advantage. He intercepted a loose pass towards the end and got a deflected shot and made it 3-1. So big win there for Hibs. And when you look at it, Scotland versus Switzerland over the last 24 hours, it is Scotland 2, Switzerland 0. So the Scots are getting the better of the Swiss. But next week, we really need the Scots to get the better of the Norwegians, guys. So that is pretty much it. Hibs, Easter Road tonight. Only 13,000. That's fucking shite. Let's be honest. That's embarrassing. I didn't even know that until I just looked at it there. I just clocked it. 13,000, man, that's pish. You know what? I actually changed my mind. I think Lucerne should have won. Fuck, that's embarrassing. Is that right? Was there anybody at the game? Is that right? 13,000. Can he be? Fuck, I've almost more than that in my bank. What the hell is happening here? If you add in a few decimal places, I've more than that in my bank. But come on. Nah, I'm not buying that, man. 13,000 in a Europa League conference qualifier? Jesus Christ, no way. Unreal. Unreal, guys. Was not expecting that. That kind of puts a wee bit of a downer on it, but either way, wins for Hibernian and Rangers, and a defeat for Hearts, but still all to play for. None of the ties are done, let's be honest. Hibs are in the best position, of course, but it's not over. I mean, if they concede early next week in Switzerland, and their bums could collapse, you know, so it's not over. No one's through, no one's out. It's all to play for next week. We could easily have 3 Scottish clubs get through, but at the same time, we could easily see 3 Scottish clubs go out. I mean, Hearts are already in a losing position. Rangers don't look good, and SERVETTE are known to be conquerors in Switzerland. They're known for doing this like underdog thing where they come back and go through and win games, so there's no surprise if they beat Rangers. And as for Lucerne, okay, they were shite tonight, and it's hard to make an argument for them being good next week, but we know how shit Hibs can be. We know how they've got a history of Hibs in it, so there's no guarantee that they will safely navigate their way through to the playoffs next week. So, like I said, guys, all to play for in the Europa Conference League, all to play for in the UEFA Champions League, and I will be here next week to see it all go down. So yeah, looking forward to it. Can't wait. How many teams are we going to get into the playoffs? Then Aberdeen enter, and then we've got another 2 weeks of action, and then it's the real thing, the group stage football. Who will join Celtic? At the moment, Rangers and Aberdeen are guaranteed. We just don't know what competition they'll be playing. Hearts and Hibs still have to book their place. We'll find out, guys, over the next month or two, though, who's going to make it and who is not. I'll catch you in the next one. Been Full Football. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and until next time, peace.